Hi, welcome to the Writing Girls. Sorry, there's my son. Where we are 4 sweet authors, but tonight we're 3, and because Amy is dealing with some family stuff and traveling a little bit. Okay, sorry. Okay, my son is right there. But tonight we are excited to talk to you about kind of what we do with our writing and publishing now versus what we did like a year ago. So we have a lot of people in our group who are always interested in what's working for us these days, and we just wanted to give a little bit of an update on that. But before we do that, we want to give you an update on what we are working on at this moment. So Victorine, do you want to tell us?
Sure. So right now I'm working on my romantic comedy. It's a marriage of convenience, but modern day. And I'm over halfway done with it, but it's up on pre-order for the end of the month, so I have to get it done. So I am currently this week I'm dealing with Storymaker stuff. So I'm teaching some classes at Storymakers, and I just spent today at some workshops, workshopping some pages with people, and so that was super fun. So this week it's Storymakers, and next week I'm hitting it hard with the writing so I can get all done.
Yeah. That's awesome. I've loved what I've read and heard of your book so far. It's really good. So
thank you.
It'd be great to have it done. What about you, Michelle? What are you doing?
I got up at 5 o'clock this morning and wrote. It's the first time in a long time I actually made it happen. Nice. And only because I woke up at 4:30 and couldn't go back to sleep. So that was just amazing. But I'm making progress on my novella that I'm writing for our box set. And I hope to have it finished definitely by the end of next week. But if I can get it done before that, then bonus. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to work on my first indie published audiobook, which I'm terrible at, apparently. And let me think. I don't know. That's pretty much it. Just writing right now as much as I can.
Awesome. Cool. And for me, I am just launching my first book in 6 months, called Her Football Star X, which is really amazing. It's just the first couple days, so we'll see how it goes. But that's fun, and it's always a little nerve-wracking to put one of my babies out into the world and letting people have an insight into what goes on in my head. So, but hopefully it'll do well. And I am also trying to write I have lots of children. I'm also trying to finish or get really started on my novella for our USA. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to do my USA Today bestselling run novella, and I'm on like chapter 3, and hopefully I can finish it. I probably won't finish it next week like Michelle, but I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the month. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I hope so.
Yeah, I know. It has to be. And then I gotta hurry and publish, and then the very latest due date is June 15, so it's exciting. Yeah, I'm gonna mute myself for 1 second.
Go for it.
And yeah.
I have to say, I really like Judy Sun's Minecraft onesie pajama set. I mean,
yes.
That was everything. It was great.
That was good. Don't we all have those moments when we're trying to do something and the kids are just coming and saying, Mom?
Yeah, anybody that's been watching me has seen me talking to somebody, and it is my 15-year-old daughter, and she finally went to bed. She had all of her nail polish stuff set up in my podcasting spot. And I was like, you got to go to bed and clean your stuff up. I was almost late because of that.
Oh, man.
I'm just texting my husband right now to tell him the kids keep coming in.
I texted my husband too. I was like, what's the deal? Get out here and get this kid for me.
Right?
Well, see if my husband checks it. He's like working outside with power saws or whatever those, like loud machines. So we'll see if he knows. Great. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. So there we are. Welcome to our world. Okay, so tonight, we wanted to kind of talk about, we had someone in our group ask us if we could kind of give an update on what we are doing now versus what we used to do with our writing and our, so Victorine,
I'll start.
Are you doing anything different for your productivity these days?
So this year, my productivity has gone way down, probably because I, at the end of the year, I had just gotten done with writing a whole bunch of books and trying to rapid release and publishing. And so, and then I had to do my Christmas one. I had actually 2 Christmas ones we had to get done and put out there. And so, come January, February, I was finishing up the very last of my Rockford High series, and I just kind of crashed a little bit and said, I'm going to take a little break. And so I'm just getting back into writing now from about a month and a half of just taking a break and refueling myself and watching a bunch of K-dramas that are super good and romantic, and it filled that bucket, and now I'm ready to write again. So productivity wise, I'm pretty much the same as I'll go for a while and then I'll need a break and need to just binge watch something for a while and put that input back into my brain so that I can think again. So that's kind of me.
So my productivity is way, 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 way down as far as the amount of books I'm getting out. So I think this time last year I'd released at least 3 books, and was about to release the 4th book, and so far I'm at 1 this year. And I'm only like a quarter of the way into both of the books I need to get out super fast. I have seriously about 6 books about a quarter of the way in. It's just terrible. And I was thinking about it, that surely it can't be a correlated thing, but my income dropped at the same time I started watching K-dramas. And I was like, seriously, did I lose $30,000 watching K-dramas?
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh.
You don't want to think about it that way.
I was thinking about that. I was like, surely not. But so I'm telling myself, this is where we draw the line in the sand, and we're like, okay, time to get back to work. But I have to say that my goal is to focus on quality and a specific thing that I was trying to do and figure out. And that succeeded for me. It went really well. So I don't actually regret what I did. I don't. I really don't. But
it'll pay off in the end because the book is amazing.
It's a good book. But at the same time, it's only 1 book. But anyway. So anyway, I'm just going to say anyway because I'm an recovering addict right here that might be in financial trouble. But no, I'm just joking. I'm good. I'm good. I actually had my highest month in 7 months by like $3,000 or $4,000.
Fantastic.
This month. So I finally got above that 5,000 mark again, got up to $7,400 for April, which was, it showed me that I'm going in the right direction again. And that's motivating, right? To finally have a good month.
Yeah, that's how mine was too. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is thanks to we hate the quarantine, but more people are reading, and
I think so.
So that has been good for book sales.
It has. Yeah. It's been really helpful.
And for me, productivity, I'm pretty much the same. I say it's been 6 months since I published, but the same thing happened to me last year. There's my kid again. And I think I always kind of burned myself out a little bit in December. And so that happened again this year, and it's been a while, and the book, but I really cared about this book and I wanted to make it a good one. And so I took the time, and we'll see if it pays off. But then I stopped making myself feel guilty for not wanting to do sprints anymore. That's something I've done. I don't do sprints because that just messes up my brain. And I also haven't tried dictating. So I just write 2,000 words a day on my, days that I'm actually writing. And so my productivity is a lot the same. Okay. So what about your writing or craft or just things you're doing with your books? Are you doing anything different this year?
So I'm actually going back to my roots as far as some of my, process in putting a story together. When I used to put books out more slowly, I would spend a lot more time in the planning stages, and I would, put together my Pinterest inspiration boards, and I put together a playlist, and I'd spend just a lot of time mentally preparing to go into the story, getting to know characters and locations and my theme and all these different things that I really enjoyed that part of the process. And when I started writing more quickly, I lost a lot of that. And I want to get back into that more. And so I've just started to go back to some of the things that I really enjoyed about the planning process of the story. And I've also learned that I can write quickly. I can put in 7,000 or 8,000 word days when I need to. So that was an important thing that I learned last year, that I could do that. But I've also learned that if I do that, my brain shuts down for a while afterwards. So
yeah,
I really only need to do that if I'm finishing a book and it's deadline time. Otherwise, I really do better taking it with a slower word count and not putting a lot of pressure on myself. And that's important because I did go through burnout towards the end of last year because I tried to release too much with too many deadlines when I had too much family pressure in my life.
So for me, I'm very similar to what Michelle is doing. Last year was a kind of a experimental time for me. I was trying a new genre. I moved from adult to YA, and I was trying rapid release. So I was trying shorter and produce faster. And this year, I'm going back to what I was doing before and writing longer books and taking a little more time with them, and going back to writing adult and more of that lighthearted rom-com stuff. And I think it's going to be a little bit better for me because my fan base is really built around the adult romance and the funny stuff that I was doing before. And so it was kind of an experiment, and it's not that it didn't sell. It just didn't sell as well as my adult ones usually do. And so that's why I'm going back to what was selling better for me.
Cool.
Yeah, one thing that I'm coming away with it is that I'm being more intentional at the front end too, as far as how I'm going to brand my book. And trying to not only write to the market, but to kind of find something to stand out from it too. And I think that is something that everybody can look at their own books, because we're seeing especially in Clean and Wholesome, a lot of so many of the same things. And it's good because it is what people are looking for, but at the same time, there's just so much of all the same thing where you start to just think, have I read this book? Readers will, have I read this one? It looks so familiar. I swear I've read this one, because people are using, and you can't avoid it sometimes, the same cover models. They're using the same fonts. They're using similar words in their titles. They're using, the man on the cover with, a sultry look on his face or whatever. But it's not, I'm not saying that those are wrong or those are bad and we're all doing them. All of my covers are men with, a specific look in the title, and it's all branded and everything like that. But this time around, I thought it's just getting to where there's so much that I need to find a way to stand out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a gamble and took a risk, and we'll see how it goes long term. But I think that's kind of a new level I'm trying to hit, is not just writing to market and selling to market, but trying to maybe start carving out my own little part in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's smart. For me, with like I missed, part of what you said, because I was taking my daughter out. So hopefully I'm still on the right topic.
We started talking about zombie apocalypse books while you were gone.
I don't have any of those. I don't think I've ever read one either. So darn it. But for me, for my writing and craft, I've started listening to more books than I used to, because like I'm busy, and anytime I have free time, I want to be able to write. So now I listen to them so that I'm still getting books and feeding that creativity. And so I think that's helping me. And I listen to like the really good high rated books instead of just any book nowadays. I'm pickier. And then I started in my last book. I took Michelle's, our talk with the theme thing, and I actually had one of those objects. And I did that. I didn't like purposely. And then I was like, oh, when I got to the end, I'm like, I could totally change this one thing about that. And yeah, that would be great. So
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we'll see if anyone even notices, but I tried. So I was proud of myself for that. And then, but I'm still doing like the character-driven novels that I always did, and I'm still having them all be like kind of all tied together in the same world. I'm even making my different series in the same world as the other series. They're all kind of tied, like one of the actors in Ridgewater High, it has a story of his own in my Rich and Famous series. And so they watch a movie of him in Ridgewater High, and then he's the main character in another. So I like try to connect all of my series to just really tie it all together so that maybe readers are like, ooh, cool, I want to hear about that person. So I'm still trying to do that. I also I tried to put less pressure on myself this year than I did in previous years, so that I can take the time for the books, because last August and November, like I released books that I thought were good, but I wasn't like super proud of them. I wasn't like, this is my best book ever, and I want everyone to judge my writing based on these books. And so to put less pressure on myself, I stopped setting up tons of newsletter swaps before the book is even finished. And I went with, I'm just trying to be able to slow down the process a little bit instead of being so pressed for time. But yeah, a lot of it is still the same. I also am making myself be okay with my own process and not caring about what other people are doing. I'm just not trying all kinds of things all the time, trying to switch up what I do. So, yeah.
So there's one more thing I would mention that I've been doing while I've been watching my K-dramas, and maybe it's just to make myself feel better about it. But I am taking notes. I'm literally sitting there with a pen and paper handy and taking notes on things that I like, that I see, that I can improve about my own stuff, or certain lines of dialogue that I really like, and themes, motifs, all kinds of stuff. I'm just writing them all down. And that way it's not just, because I figured out that, I absorb a lot of things, but I don't necessarily retrieve them again easily. And I know everybody says if you're a writer, you should keep a notebook. Well, I haven't ever really done that very well. So I've been actually taking notes very, very carefully while I'm doing this, and just absorbing things I want to put back into my work. And I've also started studying comedy a lot, because it's this really elusive thing, and it's hard to just make yourself be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided, well, there's probably smarter people than me out there who teach about it. And so I've been studying comedy a lot and trying to also, I keep another notebook of just funny things that happen in real life or funny dialogue I catch from different people and use that as jumping off points for different things. So it's kind of fun that I don't know, studying comedy is fun. It's interesting. And
that's a good idea.
I'm trying to start, my last book was a rom-com and in a much different tone that I was writing my romances before. And so my books before would, have happy times and funny times and, things that made people laugh. But in this one, I set out intentionally to create a certain kind of product. And so, and it seems, I was really curious how my readers would respond to it. And they really have responded super well. And they've even said things like, that it's not only their favorite book, but they're like, I hope she keeps writing like this in the future. So they can tell the difference in the writing style. And I think that's exciting.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep rolling with this because it's fun.
Awesome. Another thing that you're talking about your notebooks. Another thing I started doing, because I used to have notebooks everywhere all around the house, and then I had some notes inside of Scrivener, or I just tried to keep track of everything in all kinds of different places. So now I set up a Trello board for my own things. We started using it for our USA Today stuff, organizing everything. And now I have boards for every one of my books or idea or planned books. And now that helps me keep track of things. So
you must have liked it more than me and Anne-Marie did.
I'm just I just have tabs for everything, because having to open my computer or text myself or write a note, it was just,
I would like it more if I could figure out how to log into it from all my different devices. I can only log into it from my phone. And but speaking of that, I started using Evernote a lot more.
Yes, it's a similar thing.
Yeah, so I'm using Evernote so I can carry it with me. And if I'm out and about, I'm not great at keeping an actual notebook with me when I walk around, like Ernest Hemingway and people did. But
we didn't have phones, so
I found that writing things actually works better for my brain than typing them too. In fact, I only handwrite in the planning stages as much as I can, because it just opens my creativity a lot better. So I encourage anybody out there who hasn't found that out, try, if you don't write things by hand, there have been a lot of studies that it actually opens your mind up in creative ways better than typing things does. But I also really like my dry erase board.
Oh yeah.
I love it. It's on the wall next to my desk, and I will just get up and just write random things. Sometimes I'll outline or plot or something on it, but a lot of times I'm just writing things on my board and things I want to, I think about that I want to put in the next chapter or things I read somewhere. So my family's always walking by and reading these really weird things on my dry erase board. It's just up to everybody. There was this moment in a K-drama that I just watched, and it said, he said he didn't like to hold hands or shake hands or anything with anybody. And finally she's talking to him, and he was abandoned when he was a child by his mom at the orphanage. And the trauma was caused by her letting go of his hand. And he told the girl finally, when, they had that moment where they're having that intimate conversation and getting to know each other, he said, it's not that I don't like holding hands, I don't like letting go. And I just was like,
that is so romantic.
It's so awesome. And so I wrote that down on my dry erase board, and my husband came in the kitchen and he's like, why doesn't he want to let go. And she was like, I was like, you've been reading my dry erase board. It's always funny. Like they're always coming and asking me about the weird things I write up there.
Funny. Awesome. Okay. So now, do you think that we should, because we have a question on publishing and marketing, should we just kind of put those together because they're kind of hand in hand? Okay, so let's talk what we do publishing and marketing wise, if it's changed or if it's the same. It's, everyone's burning question.
Oh, yes. So for me, I'm just publishing slower this year than I did last year. Marketing wise, I've changed a little bit. Not a ton. I'm doing fewer Facebook ads and more AMS ads only because Facebook keeps shutting down my ads. Facebook is mean to me. And they just shut down an ad that I had running that had tons of social proof. It worked really, really well. I was getting good conversion with it. And I'd been running it for months and months, and they just shut it down. And then they said, well, click here and then you can file something so they'll look at it. And but I clicked there and it didn't give me the option to file it. So I was just like, whatever. I'll just do AMS ads for now. So I have one tiny Facebook ad going and all the rest are my AMS ads. So that's all I'm doing for marketing as far as ads and spending money. As far as the other kind of marketing, like research and what I'm writing and my cover art and stuff like that, I'm just trying to tap into a specific rom-com market. And so all of what I've been doing with that is just a ton of research on what readers are buying and what kind of covers they're looking for. And so that's what I've been doing, that kind of marketing.
Cool. Are you, like you're muted. Are you talking or not? Okay.
So I haven't changed much either. I'm still not really doing ads, although that is on my to-do list for like this week is to start doing AMS ads. I'm going to ease into it like I ease into a cold swimming pool. Just very slowly take my time because it's not something I'm super comfortable with. And I don't want to add a whole lot of stress all at once. But so I would say that I feel like I have like, if you see me messing with my face, I feel like I have like a hair stuck in something and I can't find it. So I am still just doing a slow release launch, mostly at 99 cents with newsletter swaps. And it's still working okay. I don't think it's working as well as it used to. I'm not getting as high in rank as I used to, but I'm sticking longer than I used to, which is kind of the point of a slow release launch is you're not really aiming for that big spike right when you release a book. You're just aiming to try and settle into a good rank and stay strong. And so I think it still works really well for that. So I'm not planning to change that at any point. I'm not doing pre-orders right now because they're too stressful for me. I think I probably could have gotten quite a few pre-orders from book 1 to book 2 in this new series I started, but I didn't want to put the stress on myself. And every time I start to think about the fact that I'm not writing very quickly, I kind of tense up for a moment. And then I'm like, oh, I don't have a pre-order, so I can just put this out whenever I get it done. And it's a lovely feeling. And so, so I'm not going to be doing pre-orders for the foreseeable future, which is fun because Amazon did make them a lot less stressful to run with a lot of the changes they made with the rules and allowing you to move your day and not upload your manuscript till the end. So it's a lot less stressful than it used to be, but it's still kind of a little bit too much for me. Tori Redmond over here is asking that she's asking what a slow release launch is instead of rapid release. So rapid release is about how often you're putting books out, and slow release, I know it's kind of like sounds like it should all be the same thing. The slow release launch is about a specific book's launch plan instead of, it's not like your overall launch plan and how quickly you're launching the books, but in the manner in which you launch a specific book. And so by slow launching a specific book, I mean, I'm not going to be putting like a ton of ads and all my newsletter swaps and like shooting with every bullet that I've got, like, you know, shooting off all my fireworks in one big display. I'm just kind of like letting it build slowly. So I'll start out in the first few days, not even telling anybody that the book is live, just letting my page build, letting my ARC readers start putting their reviews up. And it's gotten to where Amazon starts showing my readers my book more, you know, sooner in the process than they used to, it seems, or my books just become visible. I don't know. But I'm getting more sales on those first few days than I used to. But I'm not telling anybody about it. And then after that, I start slowly having my newsletter swaps where I have people that maybe have smaller newsletters going first, and I start announcing on social media. And then I have some of my bigger newsletters, and that's when I tell BookBub that I have a new release. So BookBub will send it out to my followers on a specific day, and I'll send it out to my newsletter on a specific day. And I'm doing it so that I can gradually raise my rank so that Amazon sees that my book is not just like really, really profitable or selling really well one day or 3 days, but that it's growing and that readers are finding it and enjoying it, because Amazon likes to see steady growth on a product. And so it helps to catch Amazon's attention and get thrown into their machine a little bit so that Amazon will start promoting your book to other people. And we've talked a lot about how we can always feel the lift when Amazon starts showing our book to people and helping us sell it. And so a slow launch is basically convincing Amazon that your book is a product that they want to sell to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've even noticed my my young adult books that came out almost 2 years ago. They've been like slowly rising over the last little bit. I guess Amazon was great.
Thank you, Amazon.
Yes. Okay, so for me, I'm doing pre-orders now because I was doing a lot of young adult, and now I'm working on my adult series right now. And when I released my book in December, it was the first adult book that I'd released in like a year and a half. And so Amazon didn't know what to do with me. And so they showed it to all the young adult people, and my also bots were messed up really bad for weeks and weeks and weeks. It was all young adult was the also bots. And so they didn't know who to show it to. And so it didn't, the launch didn't go quite like I had hoped. And so with this one, I made sure to set up the pre-order right from the start so that I could get the readers that had been reading that adult book, and that they could pre-order it if they wanted, and then just kind of get the also bots set a little better for when I launch this one, so I didn't have the same thing repeat. But pre-orders can be stressful, and so I do set the pre-order out as far as they let me, which is now a year. And so that's what it is. And I had one of my readers message me and said that they had seen that it was set to come out in November of this year, and then they checked back just randomly and saw that it was coming out in May, and they like screamed with joy. So I'm like, yes, I will just surprise them all every time, because that's what I do. I don't want to have the stress, but I still want it there just to get the pre-orders and get the also bots better.
That's so funny, because I was just talking to my daughter Holly, because I think she accounts for all the clean and wholesome romance readers, like half of their pages read, because she's just reading everybody constantly all the time. And she was currently reading Cami Checkett series. And she was so frustrated because she had to wait a whole week for the next book, because she was watching that pre-order date. She's reading them on Kindle Unlimited, so she can't get the book. She's watching it, and she's like, Mom, and book 5 and book 6, I have to wait till this date and this date. And And she would just die of happiness if those books delivered sooner, But it is interesting that, there are a lot of readers that are watching and they're anxious to know when they get the next one. So I definitely see the benefits of a pre-order. So
yeah. And especially now that you can do them for a year instead of just 3 months. It's
But my daughter would have a heart attack if the book she wanted if she saw the date was a year out. She'd be like, what? What do I do?
But it is worth it for the quality of book. It is so worth it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so I'm doing pre-orders. I am trying new things all the time. I used to always just watch like the clean and wholesome category, just to kind of know what to do, or because we always say to watch the bestsellers. And so I used to always just watch that, but I now watch the contemporary romance list more, because clean and wholesome is a lot of cowboys and women's fiction and Regency, and I don't write any of those things. So I'm paying more attention to the best-selling authors in just the big contemporary romance category, because I do write contemporary romance. It's just not as spicy. So I'm paying more attention to that, and broadening my list of authors who I stalk, and because that's what I do. I just stalk everyone and figure out what they're doing and try out what they're doing, and so I'm releasing at $2.99. I almost released this book at $3.99. It was like $3.99 for the first day and a half, and then I'm like, no, I'm going to give them a special $1 off, and so it's $2.99 for a limited time, hoping that'll maybe be like enticing them, so I can say it's on sale for a limited time. Maybe not 99 cents, but it's on sale. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And so I did. From last year, I was mostly doing young adult, so I did kind of switch genres again a little bit, get back to, because I'm trying to finish that series and be one of those authors that actually finishes series. And so I'm doing that. And then, but I am still planning to go back to young adult, because those, if you look at my numbers, the young adult have made me significantly more, but also I have a lot more of those. So we'll see how this goes. I'm doing this book, the novella, and then another book in the adult. And then after having 5 books of adult, then I'll be able to maybe better see where my time is better spent. So that's what I'm doing. I think that's it. So
good.
I want to write fantasy. I want to write fantasy all day long, all the time. But I can't make money writing fantasy right now. So I'm still writing. But it's interesting because you were talking about the difference when you were trying to move from young adult to adult, and the also bought mess. And that's the thing. I get so many people asking me about writing in multiple categories and what the challenges are. And as far as I'm concerned, the also bots are, and who Amazon sends your emails to, is really the only problem with not having a pen name for all your different categories. So I've said from the beginning that I wanted to write clean romance across genres. And I intend to keep doing that. But when I do put some more fantasy out, I'm going to change my name to be a different variation of my real name. So people can still know it's me, and I'm not going to keep it secret. I'm going to definitely market it to my people and as myself. But I'm going to change it just enough that Amazon sees it as a different person, so that they will build a whole new audience base for that name. So there are enough readers that cross over between adult and young adult, and like whatever, rom-com and Regency, that you can kind of do it a little bit, but you just have to, when you're making all these, everything we do comes with sacrifices. So we're getting one benefit, but we're sacrificing another one. And you just have to weigh the risks and decide what you want to try, and then gamble, you know? It kind of all is just a big experiment in figuring out what it is. So I think all of us spent a lot of time in 2019 experimenting with a lot of things. And we're starting to draw conclusions and set off in these more intentional paths, I think, this year. Did you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I want to say that experimenting is not bad. I'm not sad that I spent last year experimenting and doing new things, because it did teach me some things and I did learn from it. And so I think if you're doing something and it's not working, it's probably time to experiment and see if something else will work better.
I have conversations with authors a lot of times who are struggling to get their books to sell. And one of the things we like to tell people a lot is don't get stuck with your one book that's not working and keep hammering away at it and trying to figure out why this book isn't selling. But instead just move on to another project, because the only way you're really going to sort of find your feet in this business is if you write enough books to figure out what's going to work and what's not. And if you also, I've seen authors who do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and it's not working. So you need to be ready to try something a little bit new, a little bit different, because that's, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yep.
And it's so true in writing, for sure.
Yep. Cool. Any more thoughts on that, or should we go to the questions if we have any more questions?
We have a couple questions. I'm done. So,
okay. Did you want to put them up?
Sure, I can do them. All right. So the first question is it true that we need over 50 reviews in order for our book to appear in AlsoBots?
Nope.
That is definitely a myth.
It's driven by sales. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be that many sales necessarily all the time. Just some sales. It needs to be enough sales that Amazon's internal workings can figure out that readers that like this book are going to like your book. That if they've bought a book, your book, then they've bought this other book, then Amazon can show that book to other readers that are, it's just kind of like Amazon trying to say, we know this about your book, that it tends to be liked by these people that are bought by these people. And so we're going to continue to show it to the same kind of customers, because they're trying to move products. They're trying to get sales. And so they're just, they know how vast their marketplace is.
Yes.
So they're just trying to line up metrics and get the right product in front of the right customer. It has nothing to do with reviews. In fact, there are so many review myths, and they're all wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't think there's a single thing that reviews do for you, period.
Like, if they're all 1 stars, though, that might not be such a good thing.
You might get some quality control emails from Amazon. I don't know if they do, or if readers have to report you for that to happen.
I don't know.
So the quality of your reviews is a different matter, but the quantity of your reviews, it doesn't get you more Amazon notice. It doesn't do anything for you except to give you social proof, which we all want. But I don't care about getting a certain number of reviews at launch. I want to have 10 to 12 reviews as quickly as possible, and then I'm totally chill.
Yep, me too. All right, let's move on to the next question. Hey, so if someone had a bunch of books in historical fiction, should you make a pen name if you wanted to write a contemporary romance?
So this is what I've discovered. I've discovered that contemporary authors are able to sell better to historical readers than historical authors are able to sell to contemporary readers. It's kind of this funny, it's like a one-way street.
Yeah.
You can do it. It is possible. Readers do read both a lot. It's just more difficult if you've established in historical to start grabbing the contemporary readers. And like I said before, it can be good because you can sell to both kinds of romances to the same readers, especially like on your newsletter and things like that. But it does make it more difficult for Amazon to connect your new books to the right audience. So what happens is Amazon not only does also bots, but anybody who's liked or followed you as an author on Amazon, they send emails out to those people. And a lot of times, if you've just bought books by a certain author, if that author releases a new book, Amazon will send it out to you. And so they don't want to send it out to people that aren't going to be interested in it necessarily. Or they might be sending it, but hitting the wrong people. So if you've been writing historical romance and they send out an email to all of the people who have followed you or bought your book previously, and now it's a contemporary book, but they're sending it to historical fans, then it's not necessarily going to do you any good at all, because they're just not going to be interested in that product necessarily.
Well, and Amazon is super good about percentages and taking note of percentages. And so they're going to see that this many people usually click on an email with your book in it. But if they send out a different kind of book to the same people, that number, that percentage of people who click and buy is going to drop dramatically. Mm-hmm. And it could actually really hurt your whatever name you're using for your historical if Amazon sees that, oh, nobody's buying this one, we're going to stop promoting it at all.
Yeah. Like we said, it's all about convincing Amazon that you're a quality product, right? Mm-hmm. And another way that they do that is by how many people view your book and then go on to buy it. And so a lot of times maybe people will even click on the email to just like, what is this the author I thought it was? I thought they wrote historical. And they'll click on it to check you out a little bit, and then they'll be like, this isn't what I want, and then they won't buy it. And so that's kind of the same thing where it's when you're not converting to sales, Amazon kind of does it. So there's some benefits to it, and as far as like you don't have to manage as many social like media accounts or websites. It's a lot easier to keep to one name. But there are some costs on the actual platform of Amazon in selling your book. So
yeah. All right, we have more questions coming in. After you've published a book under one name, can you change the name to a pen name at a later date?
I think you can with the ebook, but I don't think you can with the paperback. You'd have to upload a new version of it for the paperback, right? Because the ISBN.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So I know you can change the title of a book. I've never changed my name on it, so I don't know what they allow and if they make you unpublish and then republish. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I've heard on that too, and it seems like I saw someone comment recently. It's possible that even with an ebook that you have to kind of unpublish and then republish it again. You can do it, but it's not as simple as going into your book details and just changing a couple of things out. I think if you're changing the name, the author name, you can change the title without doing that. You can change the book cover without doing that. But I think if you change the author name, you have to actually unpublish the book.
You might have to. Yeah, I don't know.
Publish again under a new name.
Which you may want to do anyway. It might help you branding wise to do that.
And you get a fresh launch.
Mm-hmm.
So get that 30-day new release.
Yep.
Yes. All
question
right.
number 3.
Another question. I'm finishing up my first book, getting ready for beta readers and such. Should I do a pre-order, not knowing when I'll be ready to have it actually published, or should you only do pre-orders after you have published at least once? That's a good question.
I think that since you haven't gone through the process of beta reading and editing, and it's your first book, I would hold off on the pre-order because you just you don't know what you're going to be getting into in that editing process, and it could be a lot more major than you think it's going to be. Yeah. And one of the things that you have to learn as a writer is how to handle edits emotionally. And when I was a new writer, they would crush me for a while, and I would not be able to work on my book for a while after getting critique back. And so, it might be a more difficult process than you anticipate. And so just don't put any more pressure on yourself by having that pre-order. Just go into it knowing that it might be something that's going to take a little bit more time than you're thinking it will at this point. And then after you see how that goes, you can think about it for the next book.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
All right. Is it harmful to swap with steamy writers if your book isn't steamy? Don't steamy readers read sweet books?
So it would be hard for you if you are going to be clean and be branded as clean. It would be hard for you to share their books.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So, I think it's probably fine to have steamy authors sharing your book because their readers might be just fine with it, but you sharing theirs might not work out so great.
Yeah, which makes it hard because how do you reciprocate?
Yeah, I think I've heard there are some who have spots that you can pay to be kind of like a paid promotion in their newsletter, so that might be a way to do it, but actually reciprocating the swap.
Yeah, because my newsletter subscribers do not want anything outside of their content zone at all. And you will get emails if something gets out that you don't know is in there. You will hear about it from your newsletter. So yeah, that would be a problem. But I know that targeting them in advertising, maybe, or getting some steamy also bots on your books page is not going to necessarily sink you. And I don't know that it'll necessarily help you a whole lot. It kind of just depends on the kind of book that you're writing. So I know I've gotten a lot of steamy readers reading my rom-com, my clean rom-com, but I'm not necessarily going to chase after those readers either. I'm just going to allow them to discover me organically.
Yeah. All right. Would a new author be at an advantage or disadvantage during this time right now as there's some changes in the buying market?
I don't think it's any different than any other time necessarily.
I would agree.
Yeah.
People are reading more, so I think a little bit more. So if anything, there's more to go around, and people may be more willing to give someone new a shot. It depends also on what you're writing. If you happen to write children's ebooks, then this might be a great time for you to get into it because they're doing really, really well right now, which is, a real flip because for a long time it was really hard to sell children's ebooks.
Yes.
But they're doing
and who knows, it might stay this way now that people are getting used to it.
Yep.
All right. If you unpublish, do you lose all reviews, etc.?
I think that eventually Amazon can put them back with your book.
You got to tell them what your ASIN was and then your new one, and they can connect them.
It can take a little while and a little bit of nudging, I think. But
you can keep one version up, keep the paperback up, and then publish the ebook. Then get them linked together, possibly, and then unpublish the other version.
I guess it depends on if you're changing your name or stuff like
what
that.
You're
Too,
and paperbacks are hard to unpublish in general because once there are copies out in the marketplace beyond Amazon continues to have it up for sale, don't they?
Yes.
Just because there may be third-party sellers that are still selling your book or something weird. I don't know. Paperbacks are tricky.
That's true. All right. I'm a first-time writer, and I was amazed listening to you all talk about how quickly you pump out new books. Was it always like that for you, or what is your method for writing brand new storyline after storyline?
Well, my first 2 books took me 5 years, so I'm a little faster than I was then. So yeah, definitely not the same. The more you write, the better and quicker you can get, because you have a better handle on how to do it and you're not having to learn the whole process. It's still hard. It's never going to be like, well, at least for me, it's not like super easy yet. But it does speed up.
I like to watch those videos on YouTube with people that do things really, really, really fast, because they do it all the time. You know, like people can gut and clean 20 fish in a minute or something like that. And it's just like, boom, 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 boom. Or people like making rolls in a restaurant and they're just like, choom, 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 choom. Just super fast. Because you do it all day, all the time. And it's the same thing. It's just once you develop the skill and the muscle memory almost, it just becomes something that you're able to speed up. And that's what's interesting, is that people who are fast because they've got the skills are still able to maintain that quality. In fact, their quality is going to be higher than somebody who's new and doing it at a slower pace. And so that's what's really fascinating about this, is that we did all start writing slower, and then we're able to grow as authors and write better and faster at the same time. So a lot of people think that writing faster will diminish your quality. But I think it's actually the opposite in a lot of ways, as long as you as the author are being, specific about ensuring your own quality level. It's just, if you care about your quality as an author, then you're going to write at the pace that gives you the best quality.
Yes.
I think there may be authors that choose quantity over quality, but that's an individual choice that we all make. And it doesn't have anything to do with how fast you're writing. Okay. People can write very fast and very, very well. And some of my best books I've written in the shortest period of time.
Yep. All right. A couple more questions and we'll be done. Do you sell significantly more when you have paperbacks also available and they added and audiobooks?
I think it depends on your genre. Like, I sell a lot of young adult, but my adult ones, I don't sell hardly any paperbacks. So
I don't sell many paperbacks of anything, but I also don't run ads. From what I've seen, the people who run ads, like AMS ads specifically, tend to sell more paperbacks than people who don't run them. I'm not sure why exactly, but they do. As far as audiobooks and paperbacks, you're always going to sell more when your book is doing well. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to have those out as close to your release as possible, when your book is at its highest and best, then you're going to sell more books then. Or if you run a promotion and you're selling a lot of books, ebooks, because of your promotion, you're also concurrently going to sell more paperbacks and audiobooks. If your book is low in rank, not very visible, not many people are buying the ebooks, you're also not going to sell paperbacks or audio for it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've found too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Wait, before someone else asks another question. I'm just kidding. We love the questions.
Yeah, this is only going to be a 30-minute one.
Yes.
We always say that. It never is.
We talk too much.
Cool. Okay, so I guess that is all for tonight. Thank you for joining us. And if you liked what you saw tonight, like our video, and also so that you'll be notified when we go live again, make sure to like our channel and ring the bell, which is, somewhere down here.
Down there.
We can't guarantee cute kids getting ready for bed in other videos.
I actually kind of hope that won't be happening in future videos, but you never know. So it's a surprise for me too. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, so thank you for joining us and staying up late.
All right.
Talk to you next time.
Good night.
Good night.